or maybe you are not in those countries, but you are still celebrating Happy New Year if you are celebrating the Lunar New Year. So for those of you that don't know much about the Lunar New Year, we are going to be looking at that topic today, learning a little bit about the cultural origins and the myth story of the New Year. So if anyone has any questions, as usual, please ask. We will be doing a grammar class soon. So Shalenda requested participle clauses. So in the next 2 lessons, we will be doing participle clauses. But for today, it's myth and the Lunar New Year. So happy Lunar New Year, everyone. Okay, so let's see who's in the Zoom room. If you're a pro member, you can join in the Zoom room. Welcome, everyone. Hi, Kartik.
Hello, ma'am. Good evening.
Good evening. How are you?
I'm doing good, ma'am. How about you?
Excellent. I'm good. Did you have a good day?
What, ma'am?
Did you have a good day?
Yes, ma'am.
Great. That's great.
What's the topic for today, ma'am?
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, Hemant. Good evening.
How are you, ma'am?
I'm good. How are you, Hemant?
I am fine, ma'am. Thank you.
Great. So today we are...
London?
Pardon, Hemant?
Today day in London?
I'm not in London. I'm in Cape Town in South Africa. It's summer here.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Present time.
Today we are not doing grammar. Shalendra requested participle clauses. We will do that soon in this week. But because it is Lunar New Year, it's the 1st of February today. Many people around the world are celebrating the New Year. So the Chinese New Year, the Lunar New Year. So that is the topic.
Main baat ba ki ekhni se English aadmi sikhata jan pe lagna.
We are only talking in English today. Okay, so hi Maliha, how are you?
Yeah, ma'am, how are you?
Welcome.
Good evening.
Good evening, Maliha. Did you have a good day?
Yeah, ma'am.
Excellent.
Good. Yeah.
Great. So, somebody says, what is the time there now? So, Hemant, it's now.
And we celebrate in India on 1st January only. New Year.
Yes.
In 1st January.
Yeah. So that's where we follow the solar New Year.
Yes,
this is the Lunar New Year. Yes, Hemant?
Ma'am, today what is topic?
We are thinking about the Lunar New Year. So lunar means the moon. Anything to do with the moon is lunar. It's the adjective for the moon. The Lunar New Year. So the Lunar New Year is today, the 1st of February. So different cultures follow different calendars, different ways of counting time. For many across Asia, they follow the Lunar New Year. So it's a lunar calendar equals a calendar following the moon. So it is a new year. So people in Korea, Vietnam, Malaysia, China will be celebrating. People from those origins will also be celebrating. In Australia, it is quite common now, even if people are not from China, to celebrate the Lunar New Year because there are so many links between Australia and other places in Asia. So this is a celebration that's happening today. We're going to think about how people celebrate in Vietnam, how people celebrate in China. And we're going to look at the origins of the New Year myth. And we're going to think about the idea of myth. What is myth?
Yes, ma'am. Good evening.
Hi, Abe. Good evening. How are you?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I am good, ma'am. How about you, ma'am?
I'm good. Did you have a good day,
Okay,
Abe?
ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Everything okay?
Great. Priyanka says, hi, how are you? I'm good, Priyanka. How are you? Welcome. Pavan said, how to improve my English? So many different ways. That's a very big question. The best way is to take in information, read, listen, watch things in English, and also to practice, so write, speak, and learn. But there are so many different ways. It really depends on what skill you want to focus on. So if you have another question on that, let me know. Good evening, Sachin, welcome. So today we're talking about the Lunar New Year. We're going to introduce this topic. What is the Lunar New Year? And this idea of myth. Lots of cultures have lots of myths, creation myths, how were things created, myth stories to explain things like the seasons. Next time we will look at a story from Greece, which explains how the season started. We're also going to look at the language that's used in myth. But first today, we're going to start thinking about the Lunar New Year. Hemant, do you have a question?
Yes, ma'am.
What is that?
Ma'am, Lunar New Year means?
It's the new year, so it's a lunar calendar. A lunar calendar is a time, measuring time based on the moon.
Yes, yes.
So this is a calendar based on the moon, measuring time from the moon. So it's the new year celebrated by people who use a moon calendar to measure time.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
So for many people, the 1st of February today is the new year. In China, Korea, Vietnam, Malaysia, and in Australia, it's very common to celebrate the new year at this time.
Ma'am, what is the difference between Gregorian calendar and New Year, Lunar New Year calendar?
Well, the lunar calendar.
Okay. Yeah,
Yes, sorry, say that again, Surendra.
what is the difference between Gregorian calendar and lunar calendar?
Well, the Gregorian calendar is based around the sun. So how many days it takes for the earth to go around the sun. The lunar calendar is based on the movements of the moon.
Okay.
It's a bit more complicated. I don't know the exact way that it works, but it's very different from the Gregorian calendar. The Gregorian calendar is based on... Yeah, Maliha?
These all countries are celebrate in 1st February, New Year?
Yes, last night was the New Year, the New Year's Eve. Today is the New Year. So we're going to learn a little bit about the culture behind it, the myth. We're going to think about some language and use this as a point to start thinking about different language used to describe things. Yes, Hemant?
Ma'am, Korea, Vietnam, Malaysia, China, Australia, every 1st February celebrates Lunar New Year.
Yeah, so these places, Vietnam, China, Korea, will definitely be celebrating the New Year. Parts of most people in Malaysia too, not everyone in Malaysia, but most people. In Australia, it's become common to celebrate the New Year as a kind of festival, even if people don't have Chinese or Korean origins. They still celebrate it because Australian culture has adopted a lot of Asian culture. So it's become quite common to celebrate it there too, in Australia. In China, it's also called the Spring Festival. So right now, people are celebrating the Spring Festival, which is the New Year in the lunar calendar. So we're gonna learn about this. We're gonna read things about it to give more information, but I'm just introducing the topic. So here's someone saying from India, V of BTS. If you're really V of BTS from South Korea, welcome. I'm definitely an ARMY. I think B is my favorite. Sachin says myth. It is something that people used to pretend in their way that this thing will happen. A little bit, that's close. We're going to think about what myth is in a moment. It's usually a story that helps us understand why something happened, maybe why something is happening in the world, why there are seasons, why winter happens. things like that. We're going to look at examples so it'll make more sense. Sachin says, in India, we celebrate on January 1st. Exactly. That's as Shailendra said, the Gregorian calendar, following the movement of the earth around the sun. There are 365 days in the year for the Gregorian calendar. We are thinking now about the lunar calendar. So, well, let's start learning some information about this story. So, does someone have a question? Hemant, do you have a question?
Ma'am, yes, ma'am.
Mhm.
Ma'am, what is spring is New Year?
Well, it's the same as the New Year.
Yes,
So for the celebrations happening in China, it's called the New Year and the Spring
Means
Festival.
lunar and spring same.
Yeah, so the Spring Festival, it's over 15 days. The New Year is one day it changes every year, but today it was on the 31st of January until the 1st. And the Spring Festival is over 15 days. So 15 days of celebration starting a new year. So we're going to learn all this now. The first thing we're going to do is read something about New Year, the Chinese New Year. So focusing on Chinese culture, we'll look at it more generally, how it's celebrated in Vietnam and across the world. But let's start off looking at the Chinese New Year. So there's lots of reading today, if anyone is keen to read. So this is all about the Chinese New Year. So does anyone want to read? Is anyone keen to read? Okay, well, there is a lot of reading today. So if you're keen, let me know.
Okay, ma'am.
We're answering this question, first of all, what is Chinese New Year? So Chinese New Year is very similar to the Lunar New Year. It's also celebrated in the other places that I talked about, Korea, all these places. There are slight differences in the way it's celebrated in China and different places, but there are generalities. Does anyone want to read?
Yes, ma'am.
Shalendra? Yeah,
Yeah,
okay. Can you read this? What is Chinese New Year?
Okay. Chinese New Year is a celebration of the Lunar New Year or the change of the Chinese calendar. It is also called Spring Festival and Lunar New Year, and many of the traditions relate to the welcoming in of spring. It is celebrated by millions of people every year and has become a popular annual event, not just for Chinese people, but for people of many races and cultures. Communities all over the world have their own parades and dragon dances to mark the turn of the year. Many of these take place in Chinatowns, the Chinese cultural center of many Western cities. Very large events take place in Vancouver, New York, and San Francisco each year. In countries with high Chinese populations such as Singapore, Malaysia, and Philippines, national holidays occur at this time of year, often for a period of 3 days.
Excellent. Thank you, Shalendra. So around the world, last night and today, there will be parades like this across cities. Where I come from in Manchester in England, there's a big Chinatown and they have parades, celebrations over the Chinese New Year. There are often events going on in shops, Chinese restaurants, things like that. And lots of people get involved, even if they're not originally from China. So it's become quite a fun celebration for many people. Does anyone have any questions based on this or based on the language, the words used in this paragraph? Okay, great.
If
Yes.
we celebrate according to the moon, so we can change. So date will change according to moon.
Yeah, so it's not always on the same day every year. It's usually around January, February. This year it falls on the 31st of January, starts on the 1st of February. So yes, it's not in the same, there isn't a fixed date because it doesn't follow the same calendar.
Yeah.
So there's this explanation yeah, this helps you sort of understand that a little bit. So Mali, how would you like to read that? It will answer your question.
Unlike the Western calendar, the Chinese calendar is a lunar one. The year's beginning and end are the work out. Chinese New Year can fall any time.
You missed a line. Are worked out
21st
according
January.
to the movements of the
Yeah.
moon.
Yeah, and 20th February each year. Chinese New Year is unlike the Western New Year is in another way. While New Year for most national is a one evening, one day affair, Chinese New Year is a 15-day celebration.
Yeah, excellent. So I think that answered your question a little bit, Maliha. It can fall anytime between the 21st of January and the 20th of February.
Yeah.
So it's very different. There's not one fixed day every year. It's different every year. A lot of different people follow different calendars, the lunar calendar. So a lot of holidays from different cultures have a similar thing where it won't fall on the same day every year.
Yeah.
So does anyone have any other questions on this?
Ma'am, so ma'am, Chinese government provide ma'am 15 days holiday, or do they have 15 days holiday?
It depends on if somebody's working or at school. Usually people won't be at school during this time. Usually people won't be working at this time, but they might be working a few days. So the main celebration will be today, tomorrow, over a couple of days, and people might go back to work. It depends. It's not the same for everyone, but there will be different celebrations. So people will still be eating nice food, doing nice things. So we're going to read in a moment of the kinds of things that people do to celebrate.
Ma'am, one more fact, ma'am, I have heard about China is that in China, ma'am, people don't believe in God. They all are atheists. Is it correct, ma'am?
I think because of the communist element,
Okay.
there is an element of people not believing in lots of things, but or maybe in a certain religion. But there are religions. People also do follow sort of traditional beliefs.
Okay.
So it might not be that somebody could describe themselves with a certain religion, but they have traditional beliefs that they followed. For example, the myths that we're going to talk about and learn about.
Okay.
So we'll think about that in a moment. We'll think about some facts. So does anyone want to read about the preparations, how people prepare for the new year? Does anyone want to read? Okay, I'm surprised. Usually people love reading. Shalendra, do you want to read again?
Okay, ma'am. Other traditional things to do before the new year include paying off any debts. This includes debts of gratitude, and so thank you gifts are common at this time. Businesses should conclude any outstanding business. People might also decorate their homes, particularly the front entrance, with red banners that carry auspicious couplets for the new year and for spring. The word for hair and the word for prosperity sound very similar, and so haircuts must be done before the new year, as cutting the hair afterwards would be symbolic of cutting off prosperity.
Yeah. So it's a start for many, a fresh start. Like during January 1st, people make a lot of New Year's resolutions, decisions to do things anew. They might have a fresh start, go to the gym this year. It's very similar that it's the start of a new year. People try and organize their finances as well, clean their homes, clean away bad luck, bring in good luck. So in many ways, it's a fresh start. Okay, so this is what you asked a little bit about with religion. So there are still, I think, some Buddhists in China. I'm not 100% sure in what regions, but I think that in some ways the monasteries are sort of allowed to operate, things like this. So depending on your religion, the New Year can be celebrated a little bit differently. So in Tao and Buddhist homes, people will make paper effigies. An effigy is a statue of a god. So the one god is Zhao Jun, which are burned so they can make their way to the Jade Emperor to report on family members. So we'll talk about the Jade Emperor in a moment. This is called sending the gods. Families might bribe the gods into saying nice things about them by offering sweet foods to the gods at their home altars. Okay, so these are things that people do in preparation before the New Year starts. And then we have New Year's Eve. Does anyone want to read about the New Year's Eve? What actually happens the night before the New Year? Maliha, would you like to read again? Or Isha? Welcome, Isha.
Yes, ma'am.
Maliha, would you like to read again?
Okay, ma'am. Which paragraph?
The one in green about what people do on New Year's Eve.
Okay. New Year Eve. Ma'am, it's very little. I can't read.
Let me zoom in for you.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Now.
ma'am. Actually, my
Now I can, ma'am. New Year's Eve is a major festivity with a meal called the reunion dinner or Ninian a fan, where all members of the family get together. This is similar to a Thanksgiving or Christmas celebration in Western culture. Traditional in the North, dumpling called juji
Jalsa.
were made to be consumed at midnight, while in the South and special New Year, a cake was made to give to celebrate relatives. Each of these tradition relates to the idea of giving prosperity in different form.
Excellent. Thank you, Maliha.
Welcome.
So it's all about starting a new year, fresh year, full of prosperity. Prosperity is another word for wealth, for positive things.
Yeah.
So does anyone have any questions so far? Does this make a bit more sense about what the celebration is like?
Is this a Asian festival, Malina, ma'am?
Yeah, so it's definitely celebrated in China, in Korea as well. They will be celebrating the New Year, the Lunar New Year. In many people in Malaysia will be celebrating. Vietnam celebrates the Lunar New Year. In Australia,
like meet again and like college friends, and they do reunion like this, reunion dinner.
over New Year, yeah, it will be a time for people to see people because people will have more free time. Definitely. People will try and meet friends, family during this time.
And what is dumpling?
Dumpling are sort of buns, bread buns filled with things.
Okay.
So steamed bread with fillings. Sort of usually wheat-based bread or flour, and then filled with steamed vegetables or meat. So it's not just Korea, China, Malaysia, Vietnam that will be celebrating. A lot of big cities around the world will put on some kinds of celebrations, definitely in America and in England. The big cities have their own New Year celebrations as well.
Ma'am, in India, ma'am, every month we have this kind of festival we celebrate from August to December, ma'am.
Great. This sounds like a fun time.
After 15 days, we have one festival, and after 15 days you will get new another festival. So festival is just like a friend for us. We celebrate
Yeah.
lots of festival entire day, entire year. We just spend our life to celebrate festival and get together with friends. By ma'am, it's a very good way to express your happiness. Even because because of festival, during festival people used to get dressed up, they used to meet, we used to go friends and family's house. So India, ma'am, we spend a lot of money on the occasion of any festival, ma'am.
It's important. Festivals are a great way to spend time with family, to enjoy life, to think about what's important. And I think that's one of the reasons why the Lunar New Year has been adopted by so many places that celebrate it, and why other festivals have been adopted and shared.
In Australia, I joined one dance. It's called silent dance, ma'am. I joined it with very strangers and ma'am. I joined a group. They are all strangers, but we dance together. We enjoy together. It's very fun, loving, good, fun, loving. I enjoyed it.
Lovely. Was this which part of Australia, Maliha?
Ma'am, Melbourne.
Oh wow, amazing.
Yeah.
It sounds like a lot of fun. How does it work? Does everyone get music individually, or is it completely silent?
Yeah, ma'am. Music, the headphone is there. They distribute headphones, and it comes light inside, and we enjoy the dancing.
Lovely, excellent. Sounds like lots of fun.
Yeah.
So, did you celebrate anything else in Melbourne? Were there any other festivals going on when you were there? Any other celebrations?
No, ma'am. Only one celebration.
Sounds like
I went there
fun.
once. Yeah.
I think people in Australia are very friendly, and I think they also like
very friendly. They welcome to each other. They smile each other. They greet each other. Very friendly and very nice.
That's great.
I like people. Yeah.
Yes, one day I would like to go to Melbourne. I've been to Perth, but it's quite small. Okay, so we're going to read a little bit of the rest of information about how people celebrate on New Year's Day, and then we're going to think about the animals in the Chinese New Year, the Lunar New Year, and we're going to read a myth story about this. So some of you might know that there are different years named after different animals. This year is the year of the tiger. So we're going to learn a little bit about this and think about the story that comes behind this. So it's based on this myth of the dragon, Nian. Would anyone like to read? Does anyone want to practice? If anyone wants to practice pronunciation, reading words, now is a great
Ma'am, can I?
Yes, of course, please do. Okay, so this is about New Year's Day, what people do on the Lunar New Year. Read it.
Okay, ma'am.
Asma, welcome, Asma.
The first day of the new year officially begins at midnight, and it is a time for welcoming the
deities are gods.
Deities of heaven and earth. It is a traditional practice to light fireworks, burn sticks, and firecrackers, and to make as much noise as possible to chase off the evil spirits known as Nian. This relates to the old legend that every spring a dragon, Nian, would appear and destroy villages and eat people. Villagers noticed that the dragon did not like the color red or the sound of firecrackers and drums. From then on, the Nian has been kept at bay with loud noises and the color red. People may also invite lion dance troops,
groups of people
troops into their homes or villages. These acrobatic dances in which a pair of men play the part of an auspicious
Auspicious. Mm.
spacious and fun-loving lion character are danced under a large papier match mask with movable eyelids and mouth. The lion, the lion ushers, the lion ushers in the new year at each home and business that he passes, and it's traditionally given green letters to each as a thank you. Uh, Married people will be expected to give out red envelopes containing money known as Lai Si or uh, Angpo. This is a form of blessing to surprise the challenges of the new year and is given to junior members of the family. The money should be in uh, even values as odd values are reserved or uh, for for
Funeral.
fu-
Funerary. Mm-hmm.
funerary funerary gifts and should be in crisp new notes. It should also be in auspicious numbers like 8 in the United States. $8 is a common amount to find in a red envelope for children. Business managers also given bonuses through red pockets to employees for good luck, good health, and wealth.
Excellent. Thank you, Asma. Lovely reading. So let's just think about some of this vocabulary to usher in something. The lion ushers in the new year. It's to bring something in a nice way. So you can usher people into your home. We talk about ushering people into a room, bringing people in. If you go to a cinema, a name for the people who walk people into a cinema or a theater, we call them ushers. That is their name because they usher people into the seating area. So they are an usher. So you can say, oh, I don't know where to sit in the cinema or in the theater, ask the usher, they'll know. So it's a nice verb to usher in. Hi, Dipali.
Hi, ma'am.
Welcome. How are you? I'm good. How are you, Dipali?
I'm good, ma'am. Well.
Great. Do you have any questions about what we're doing or anything you want to say?
No, ma'am. Can I read?
Yes, please do. Okay, so we've learned about how the color red is very important in New Year celebrations. It's good luck. And there's a reason for that. We're going to read the myth in the moment. Yes, so please continue reading.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah. Is it big enough for you, the letters? Mm-hmm.
Celebration, ma'am?
Yeah.
Ma'am, auspicious means?
Auspicious is good luck. It signals that good things will happen. It's a signal of good things.
Okay, ma'am, what is the opposite of auspicious? Synonym, antonym of auspicious?
There is a very good one. My mind, I'm very sleepy now, so I can't think of it. But it's a very good one used for in literature. I'll have to have a moment, Shalendra. My brain's just sleepy today.
Bad omen, bad omen.
Yeah, you can say a bad omen, definitely. Yeah, that's a more, yeah, that works. A bad omen, definitely. Yeah. There's another one that's used sort of in literary works quite a lot. When you're analyzing things, often there will be a signal of bad luck, bad things to come. It's a really, really fun word. My brain is a bit tired, but I'll have a think, Shalendra. But that's a fantastic question.
Yeah, ma'am. Okay, ma'am. No problem.
Okay,
continue, Dipali. Can you continue reading?
The celebration continue for most Chinese people for 3 days, but in some committees, is 15 days celebration is still maintained. Each of the days has a function. Often These days are for appeasing a particular god or drawing a particularly good quality into the home for the new year.
Excellent. So I've just seen it's Simran's birthday. So I want to say happy birthday, Simran. I hope you have a good year ahead. Happy birthday. It's lovely to start a birthday on a new year celebration too. So this is about the different animals that are named after each year. So 2022 is the year of the tiger. This gives us information about this. So yes, carry on reading Dipali.
Okay, ma'am. Naming the year, the Chinese
Zodiac.
and astrological chart consists to 12 units. These are each given an animal representative. All the animals link of certain year of the lunar calendar 2024
2014
was the year of the horse. 2015 was the year of the goat, sheep, and 2060 is the year of the monkey.
So people say if you're born in that year, you have the characteristics, the personality of that animal. So it's quite fun. You can look up what year you were born and the animal that you are. So I think I am born in the year of the rooster. Okay, can you carry on reading, Dipali?
Which year, ma'am? Which animal?
Which year was I born? You can go look it up. Which year was the rooster?
Which animal, ma'am? Which animal?
The rooster. I'm not sure. I think it's the rooster. I had a Chinese friend. She gave me a rooster. So I think
please write the name of that animal.
Pardon?
Please write the name of that animal.
A rooster. A rooster is a male chicken.
Okay. So, ma'am,
Do you have a rooster or a hen?
Ma'am, is there any possibility that they repeat the animal?
Yes, they repeat animal. There's only 12 animals, so it repeats every 12 years.
Okay. So, ma'am, there are only 12 animals.
Yes, and this story explains why there are 12 animals. So we're going to read that. So Dipali, can you carry on reading this?
Yes, ma'am. In a legendary
So I mean,
race run long ago, all these animals took a part in the crossing of a river. The rat won the race by tracking the ox into crying him, and people who are born in the year of the rat are believed to be cunning.
Cunning is sneaky, mischievous, a trickster, and a little bit smart.
The animals finish the race in the following order: rat, ox, tiger, rabbit, dragon, snake, horse, goat, monkey, rooster, dog, and pig. The zodiac runs through this cycle and then repeats. 2017 therefore will be the year of the rooster.
Excellent. So 2017 was the year of the rooster. Well done, Dipali. So this is another legend, another myth that says only those 12 animals were able to finish the race in time. The cat didn't make it. He was too slow. So these are the 12 animals that are named after the year. So does anyone have any questions about this before we look
Yes, ma'am. Hello, ma'am.
Yes,
Excuse me.
Hi, Abe. Welcome.
Ma'am, dragon means dragon.
A dragon is a mythical creature. So a mythical creature is a not real creature, not real animal. We'll look at pictures. It's something that people say can fly, can breathe fire, looks a bit like a giant lizard. I'll see if I can find you pictures of dragons. Dragons are creatures that have been in stories for many years from many cultures. China, medieval Europe often talked about dragons. These are some pictures.
Some movies also come on.
Yes, there's lots of movies, but the story comes from myth. These creatures are from stories from the past. So I hope that helps. So does anyone, yes, Abe?
Ma'am, this creature, where is found, ma'am? Which country?
Lots of countries have it. So medieval Europe, there were lots of myths of dragons in medieval Europe and in China. So lots of cultures talked about dragon-like creatures. They have different types of powers, things, but definitely China and medieval Europe.
In India, didn't find. Don't find.
Okay, you don't find it. That's interesting. Maybe something similar that breathes fire or that has a tail, but maybe not the exact same kind of thing.
Ma'am?
It's interesting. Yes?
Ma'am, if 2017 is the rooster year, then ma'am, according to this, ma'am, 1993 is your birth year.
Yes, well done. Yeah, Shalendra, it is.
Yeah.
Well worked out. So we've thought a little bit about Chinese New Year, what it is. Does anyone have any questions before we look at the myth behind it?
Ma'am, am I right?
Yes, you're right. Yeah, well done. Well done, Shalendra. So does anyone have any questions before we think more about myths? Okay. So what is a myth? Do you know what is a myth? Who knows what a myth is?
Dragon is myth.
Yeah, a dragon is myth, exactly. So something that's not real, definitely. We talk about it being mythical. So if it's a creature or something, the adjective is mythical.
Imagination, ma'am.
Yes, well, it's definitely part of imagination. The myth is the noun. So myths are stories. Has anyone heard of a myth that is a story myth? Okay, so
Ma'am, myths can be, ma'am, different kind of myths. It can be a story just like Nigi, scary story myth. Most of the myths are not true. So we just think because of some fact we started assuming, and everybody just started following the trends, and it's become myth, ma'am.
yeah, a myth is a very old story told by people to explain historical events.
Then there is no evidence, ma'am, maybe because with that time they don't have a like newspaper and all. So
yeah, it was a way of recording.
It came from our forefathers, and we assume that. Yeah.
So often they were told orally. That means spoken stories, not written down. So they changed a little bit. There weren't always the same stories. So they often included mythical creatures, not real creatures, just like dragons, like you said, Maliha.
Ma'am, in India, we say mythological stories related to God.
Yeah, it can be related to gods. Often it is. Definitely.
Because these are not proven and there is no reference in the text. So that's why it is called mythological stories.
Yeah, it doesn't always have to be involving gods. Sometimes they're involving a person who did something amazing to explain something. It might involve nature. It might involve the history of a group of people. It might be quite close to what actually happened, but things have been changed over time just because so many people told the story. But the main thing with a myth is that it's a very old story. That's the key. So we're going to read the myth related to Chinese New Year, Lunar New Year. Where does the idea of it come from? What is the story that people use to explain the celebration of New Year and why it happened? So there are lots of myths in different cultures. Maybe you know some Greek ones, some Indian ones, some Chinese ones. Have a think of the myths that you might know. And when we're reading, think, is there any similarities in myths that you might already know? So let's start with reading the story, The Monster of the New Year.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, Abe?
Ma'am, you conduct a quiz, ma'am.
Conduct a?
Quiz.
A queue?
Quiz. Yes, ma'am. Quiz.
Say that again, Abe?
Quiz, ma'am.
means GK means GK.
Sorry, I don't know if it's...
General knowledge.
Quiz. Yes, we should do a quiz on, definitely. I love doing general knowledge quizzes. We will definitely do that. Do you want it on a specific topic, Abe?
You give topics, ma'am.
Okay, we definitely will.
One thing, ma'am, you should make one program like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire?
Yeah, who wants to be? Yeah, I like that. We will definitely do quizzes. I love quizzes. I do want to come back to it. We can summarize some of the...
Is a myth or real?
Myths are usually not real. Usually stories, but they usually have something real about them. So something about them might have really happened, but it's changed a little bit over time. Extra things have added, but usually there is we say a grain of truth. A grain is a piece of wheat or a piece of food. So a small amount of truth in it. This is an idiom to mean it has a small amount of truth. So usually if the myth is about history of a group of people, how they arrived in a place, for example, it might be that group of people really traveled to that place, but the way that it happened might be different in the myth. So usually myths were used by ancient people to explain things. So they're quite important for understanding history, culture, lots of things. So the first thing I want to think about is that in myths, we often start with phrases that are very common. So once upon a time, a long, long time ago. These are very common phrases that start myths to show that it really happened in a time that we don't know exactly when it was that it happened, but people have been telling the story for such a long time that they just started saying a long, long time ago. We don't know when, but it happened at some point. Okay, would anyone like to read the myth?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Haman, perfect. Can you read the first paragraph?
Okay, ma'am. Once upon a time, long, long ago, there lived a monastery in China called the Nian. He lived under the sea in a cave and slept most of the year. He only awake for one day each year. The last day before the Lunar New Year began, then the warmer weather woke him and he arose from the sea, hungry and
ferocious.
Very angry. Ferocious means very angry.
Very angry, ferocious, very angry, very aggressive. Mm-hmm.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Nian was a man eater, and he would come to the village of China each year on the same night to devour. Devour means, ma'am?
Devour, eat.
Devour.
To devour, to eat people.
and wreck
Wreck, destroy, break.
where the houses.
Means
Where-
to destroy or to break.
Yes, destroy, break. Yes, ma'am. Many had tried to battle with the mighty Nyan. May had tried, and all had failed.
Yeah.
The
So-
the villagers of one particular place were so terrified, so terrified that every year they fled to the hills to try to escape the
Wrath. Wrath is
Wrath.
anger.
Wrath means, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am.
Anger.
That means anger. Okay, ma'am.
Anger. Okay. Of Nyan. One year on the ebb. Ebb means, ma'am?
The
Ebb.
night before. The night before.
Okay. Or ebb of the lunar New Year. Night before. Yes, ma'am. Ebb of the Lunar New Year, an older traveler came to the village. He was bent and very
Tired.
from his
Very
very
tired.
means tired.
Yeah, exhausted, tired.
Yes, ma'am. Tired. From his travel.
Bent, B-E-N-T.
Pardon, Abe?
He was
Bent. He was bent.
His back is hunched. He's like this. Instead of
Bent
straight,
Ferocious,
bent.
ferocious is very aggressive and
Ferocious,
wrath is
yeah.
aggressive.
Wrath
Anger.
is anger. Yeah, wrath is anger. Ferocious is very angry, very aggressive.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Bent is the opposite of straight. So it's the past tense. To bend, he was bent.
Okay. From his travels and he desperately wanted food and lodging.
Lodging, housing.
Lodging means
somewhere to live.
housing. Okay. Food and lodging. Yeah, he went to the door of a house to beg for the food, but the woman inside just turned him away. She had no time for beggars. She was packing food and preparing for the move off to the mountain. Mountain. Preparing means
Getting
preparing.
ready. Getting ready. Doing what you need to do before. Yeah. Getting ready.
Okay. The getting ready. Okay, ma'am. The old man tried to ask a young girl on the street for help next, but she was too busy as well. She had to find her brothers and sisters and start the long walk up the mountain to escape the monastery.
Excellent reading. Well done, Hemant.
Monastery. The only person who paid the old man any notice at all was an old woman. She was sweeping. Sweeping means, ma'am? Sweeping.
With a broom, getting rid of the dust.
Yes.
Brushing the dust.
Sweeping outside her house when she saw the weary traveler and realized that he needed food. Walked inside the returned to the man with a ball of noodles. Balls of noodles, man. Ball of noodles.
A bowl of pasta, of spaghetti, of long bits of wheat.
Ma'am, in simple, ma'am, Maggie, ma'am, Maggie.
Okay. Thank you, Sheila.
Ball. Ball means ball means
Something to put
noodles
food
means
in.
Katora, katori.
Okay.
Bowl of.
While
It's
the
bowl.
old traveler ate the sat and watched the villagers running about. He asked what all the fuss. Fuss means, ma'am.
First,
FUSS.
all the worry, all the commotion, the noise. Everybody was, we say, making a big deal. That's caring about it and worrying about it.
Okay. Making a big deal. Okay. Worry. What about? And the woman explained that the neon was coming that night, and the villagers were going to hide in the hills to ensure that their village was overlooked by the monster. The woman looked worried, and the old man asked her away. The old woman didn't think she
Sheep.
she did be able
She would.
to she did he was, ma'am.
She would be.
She would. We can just say
she
sheep.
okay.
Yeah.
She would be able to make the trip to the hills that year. Her bones were old and she was weary. The old man smiled to himself. He knew how to repay the old woman's kindness. He could tell her how to ensure that the monster Nyan never bothered her village again.
Bother.
Brother.
Bothered.
Bother.
He never sort of attacked. He never caused problems to the village. He never bothered them.
Okay. The next morning, the villagers returned to their houses. They had spent the night in the hills and had heard bangs. Bangs means, ma'am? BANGS.
These loud noises, bang, bang, a loud noise.
Okay.
The noise of fireworks.
Loud noise. Okay. And seen bright lights coming from the village. They feared that neon and destroyed their homes. But as they walked down the main street, the people were amazed. The house were standing. Everything looked peaceful, and the old woman would refuse to come to the hills stood outside her home smiling. But how did you survive, Nyan? The villagers asked the old woman. The old woman explained that the traveler had told her an amazing secret about Nyan. The monster was afraid from the color red, loud noise, and fire, noises and fire. And so the old woman and the traveler had covered the houses with red paper banners. They had lit fire crackers. Lit means L-I-T.
To
Lit
light.
light.
In the
Light
past,
means
to light.
yeah.
To turn on the firework, to make a fire.
Light, ma'am, light.
Ma'am, jalana,
to
ma'am.
light.
हाँ,
Jalana, light.
Okay,
Burn.
okay. Light, burn, light.
Yeah, to
Yeah.
burn. Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, ma'am. Firecracker. They had found every pot and pan they could and banged. Could and banged. Banged means
So
B-N-G-E-D.
hit and to make a loud noise. Hit on something to make a loud noise.
Okay. On them loudly, and the monster had turned away from the village, scared by the noise and color. The following year, all the villagers stayed behind in the village for the Lunar New Year. They firecrackers and banged on drums, and or the color red and neon was nowhere to be seen. From that day to this, the new year is celebrated in the same way. The villagers know that neon is just asleep, and could easily wake up this spring and decide to attack their town. Only the firecrackers, the drums, and the color red keep him away.
Excellent. Thank you, Haman. Great reading. Well done.
Okay, ma'am.
Especially since you read lots of new words. Fantastic work. Well done. So that is the reason why red is celebrated on Lunar New Year, Chinese New Year. That's the reason why firecrackers, fireworks, loud noises, lots of lights are the way that it is celebrated. So this is the myth surrounding the celebration of Lunar New Year. So I wonder, have a think, is it similar to the kinds of myths you know, the stories you know from different cultures? Is there a similarity? It's an explanation of why something is celebrated. But it still has a lot of the typical elements of myths. There's a mythical creature, there's a problem, and the story starts once upon a time, or long, long ago. So does anyone have any questions about Lunar New Year? Did anyone find this topic interesting? Was it new? Let me know.
I'm very interested story, ma'am.
Great,
Very
I'm glad you like the
interesting
story. Great, I'm glad to hear that, Abe. Yes, it's interesting to learn the myths from other cultures.
Yes.
It's an interesting story. I'm glad that you found it interesting, Abe.
Yeah, ma'am, it is interesting. Yeah, we like it.
Great, Maliha. Yes, myths are fascinating. They're an insight, I think, into the human psychology.
Yeah.
The fear of a creature that can destroy things is a common theme as well in myths, that there is something dangerous. And working together in communities. These are common themes. But I will take on your suggestion, Abe. We will do quizzes. I like that. Quizzes are always fun. We'll try to do on different topics. And Shilendra will definitely look at participle clauses as well sometime in the next week. Don't worry, Shilendra, we will do that.
Yes, ma'am.
So thank you, everyone. Happy New Year, even if you're not celebrating.
Welcome,
Happy New Year. And have a
Thank you
good,
so
wonderful
much,
evening,
ma'am.
everyone. Thank you, Ave. Well, it was lovely
Congratulations,
to
ma'am.
listen to you all reading.